Lately, strange orbs,
Oh, what the? Wait a minute.
It's pulling it.
What?
close UFO calls,
Ma, you see this?
No. Hold.
What is
that?
what is happening?
and unexplainable backyard phenomena have proved one thing: something is coming from above. And it's not slowing down. So let's jump straight into the strangest encounters that are now getting seriously concerning. A traveler at the station on 22nd July 2024 noticed a large glowing orb that appeared and was hovering just above the tracks, its surface crackling like electricity. Bright blue light pulsed from within as thin sparks drifted slowly and deliberately across the empty platform. The sphere, unlike anything familiar, moved toward the nearby woods and disappeared among the trees. Those who later saw it on the clip believed it to be an electric bolt of some kind. Large glowing UAP. In the midnight skies of Lisbon, Portugal, a very interesting development followed, where a series of two different colorful lights appeared. Both of these then combined to form a large glowing UAP in the shape of a gigantic sphere that mesmerized witnesses on the ground, who, if they hadn't filmed, no one would have believed this to have happened.
Right there. See it moving? Mm-hmm. It stopped and then it turned.
Oh, I see it.
It stopped and then it turned.
I see it.
That's it.
Scientists are unable to exactly pinpoint what could be the exact cause of such a development, aside from a few possibilities, such as atmospheric plasma, rocket launch exhaust, auroral activity, or ice crystal reflections to kind of refraction or a drone swarm. Ohio Sphere. On the night of April 28, 2025, residents in Dayton, Ohio, happened to see something unusual during a thunderstorm. A glowing blue sphere hovered above a parking lot near a shopping center, remaining perfectly still despite the storm around it. At first, people thought it might be ball lightning, but it didn't flicker or disappear like ordinary lightning. Its cold blue glow remained constant, and no one could identify its origin.
What the?
The brief sighting left those who saw it puzzled, as the object didn't resemble anything familiar and gave the impression of something entirely out of the ordinary. Weird lighting effect. On the 25th of April, 2025, a returning Walmart customer in Shakopee, Minnesota, who was in the parking lot when he noticed the appearance of a random lighting effect on the ground in the parking lot. It only lasted for a couple of seconds from the moment it was seen and recorded on camera before it vanished completely. Aside from the recorder, one of the eyewitnesses reported that this ball lightning caused one of the trees in the area to grow instantly.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, what the? Wait a minute.
It's pulling it.
What?
Unlike the light effect that is seen to occur in skies, this one happened on the ground, which is something else completely. UFO or portal. During a late-night walk in the park in Boston, a man noticed a weird development in the sky. He noticed glowing lights in the sky that were shape-shifting, where at one point seemed to be the formation of a portal and a UFO at another. The change was so random and unpredictable that he remained on site to get some answers as to what its actual nature could be. Some of the viewers believed that this looked like the possibility of these being angels as well. Opening in backyard. A homeowner unexpectedly came across a strange formation in the backyard and began recording it out of curiosity. The shimmering circular shape resembled the kind of portal seen in fiction, with bright edges that seemed to shift and rotate.
What is that? I don't know.
Uncertain whether anything might emerge, the observer kept a distance and simply watched as the shape hovered quietly in place. It remained visible for several minutes before fading slowly, its glow dimming until nothing was left. The sudden appearance and vivid brightness of the phenomenon made the moment feel unsettling, turning what seemed like a random occurrence into an eerie and unexplained incident. Lighted orbs. Soon after a sunset in Ontario, Canada, a strange series development started to occur. At first, a very thick, mist-like, cloudy effect started to take place, where moments later, two colorful, glowing orbs suddenly emerged. One of them was green, while the other was purple. Both first appeared above the cloud, only to start mixing into each other inside the cloudy mist that formed, creating a spectacle that looked almost like it was created on purpose to hide what was happening.
I don't know. It was like a light that turned into a cloud. Look, there's like stuff flashing all around it.
Bizarre sky sighting. A New Jersey resident posted doorbell camera footage showing an unusual object hanging low in the sky. The object shifted through various bright colors before one intense burst of light briefly illuminated the area, almost like a massive bulb switching on. This pattern repeated several times, each flash followed by a brief return to dimness. Then, without any clear movement or sound, the object vanished from view. Based on its odd form and behavior, viewers speculated that it might have been emitting some sort of signal or reacting to one, leaving the incident open to interpretation and curiosity. Fusing light signatures.
What the is that, bruh?
What seemed like a possible coincidence of two meteorites coming from different directions until they suddenly vanished. On the 27th of June 2025, a strange phenomenon occurred in the night sky over Fayetteville, North Carolina, when two very bright light signatures of different colors were observed. Both converged into one before fusing and disappearing immediately. Spectators on the spot and viewers online both were mesmerized by it, but were unable to conclude what this might be after brief possibilities that this could have been something to do with Portal, or just another unidentified flying anomaly. Descending UAP. In New Jersey, a homeowner spotted a strange glowing object that appeared near his driveway. The clip dates to December 19th, 2024, where the object that descended and was hovering about 2 feet from the ground.
Kids lighting up the car there, so it's probably not CGI.
Although he was not able to get a good look at it due to its very bright nature, the homeowner was convinced that this was some strange blue orb that appeared and not an aircraft, since it was completely soundless. With the incident having followed after midnight and how close it got, the recorder was suspicious of what may have been attempted to occur here. Swirling anomalies. Up in the night sky of Williston, North Dakota, a tenant from an apartment noticed the appearance of multiple glowing anomalies in the sky on May 15th, 2025. With them having the shape of a typical flying saucer, they were thought to be a series of UFOs, but with darker interiors and a very shiny border, it seemed to be something else completely. The possibilities soon turn out to be endless, starting from UAPs to portals, black holes. Weird blinking phenomenon. The more it was observed, the stranger it seemed. On March 29th, 2025, a crewman aboard an oil tanker off the coast of Vancouver noticed an unusual object descending from the sky toward the ship. It emitted a bright, central light and had a blinking light on top. One of the crewmen who recorded it said it produced a loud engine-like noise. Aware that the sighting might sound unbelievable, he captured it on camera and later shared the footage on social media. Austin UFO. In Austin, Texas, a resident happened to notice an unusual object lodged high in a tree near the edge of a wooded area. It wasn't a balloon or anything that resembled a drone, and its metallic surface suggested it might have fallen from above. Before he could get a closer look, a black car arrived unexpectedly.
I've never seen a drone like that.
Several men in dark suits stepped out, retrieved the object with deliberate care, and departed without offering any explanation. The quick, silent removal only deepened curiosity, leaving the witness wondering why it was collected so urgently and what it had been doing there to begin with. UFO incident. Locals in the west of France witnessed a UFO sighting that got quite intense. The incident happened around midnight on July 24th, 2024, when an unidentified object first emitted a series of strong glows, sort of like a blinking light. After a brief and sudden noise, it disappeared, leaving many to wonder if this was some kind of alien intimidation or abduction that was in play here. Mysterious backyard activity. Not too high in the skies of the farmland area of Kansas, a series of weird things started happening all around that were caught on security cameras. Footage dating to early January 2025 showed lighted orbs flying over the area before they stopped and randomly started to shapeshift before disappearing completely. The exact shape or nature couldn't be identified in the video as all happened too fast, and the footage was uploaded on social media by the owner, who was hoping to get some answers. Low-flying saucer.
Oh, que porra é essa?
On a late-night drive through the countryside on his way to Missoula, Montana, a trucker encountered something entirely unexpected on September 23, 2025. Heavy rain and an empty road made visibility difficult, and a bright glow ahead initially looked like oncoming headlights. As he approached, however, the light revealed a large object hovering just above the ground, nothing like a vehicle and unmistakably unusual in shape. He continued past it without incident, shaken but unharmed. His dashcam had been running the whole time, capturing the strange moment. The footage later circulated online, turning what seemed like an isolated encounter into a widely discussed curiosity. Unknown aerial objects. In different parts of Palmdale City, residents reported several different kinds of weird sightings on August 18, 2024. Be it a cluster of nearly 60 small orbs or low-flying UFOs that could be seen hovering. Despite the late hour, these sightings had a very large number of people on the streets who were all watching and videotaping as well.
Ma, you see this?
No. Holy sh**.
What
What
is-
the hell is that?
What is happening?
What? Why isn't my phone focusing? What is happening right now?
According to some of them, these appeared and stayed around the area for over 15 minutes before making any observable movement. Sparkling phenomena. Residents from Montgomery, Virginia, were gathered on the streets on the 20th of July, 2025, as weird phenomena started to occur. Not too high in the sky, they could notice a series of very colorful lightning effects that followed after formation of dark clouds.
Get out of my car. Not doing anything dangerous. Here it comes, here it comes.
This was connected directly to perhaps it being a UFO that may have appeared or descended in the lower sky as a reasonable explanation. Witnessing with curiosity as to what it might be or what would follow next when it didn't damage or raise any concerns. Landing orbs. A doorbell camera at a home in Cincinnati, Ohio, recorded an unusual scene on June 24, 2025, showing more than one glowing orb descending into the neighborhood late after midnight. The footage begins with one orb dropping downward before its light fades out entirely. Seconds later, another orb appears, lowering briefly before drifting past the camera's view and rising back upward. With no one outside at the time, there were no direct witnesses to examine the objects or determine what they might have been. The pair of silent, unexplained lights gave the impression of being part of something larger, hinting at a possible formation passing through the area. Tic-tac craft. This glowing object was spotted by locals after an incident that followed in Valençois, France, on October 25, 2024. Initially, it was taken to be a UAP in the shape of a tic-tac until it was confirmed to be a craft as it was seen by multiple witnesses.
C'est quoi ce truc? C'est quoi ce truc?
Attends. Alors.
It was flying at a distance in the sky and was moving around all over the area, where it even stopped, turned around, and randomly changed directions at least a few times. It then flew away, where the tracking of its trail was lost, with all the trees that came in the way. garage orb. A homeowner in Tampa, Florida, had a small, glowing orb that made its way into his garage. The clip taken by a security camera dates to October 22nd, 2025, showing it flying in the garage with an audible sound, like a drone with powerful thrusters that were loud enough to wake up the owner. The moment he turned the lights on to investigate, it flew away instantly, like it was trying to get out of the Dodge. The homeowner claimed to have not seen anything until he later reviewed the footage and was left speechless as to what this might have been. Fireball craft? The night sky of Santiago, Mexico was lit by the appearance of a strange fireball that caught everyone by surprise. Unlike a meteor, it wasn't coming crashing down towards the ground. Rather, it was just flying away in the sky. The speed and intensity of the light made it impossible to get a good look at it. After flying over, its shape also seemed to change before it completely disappeared in the hilly outskirts. This could have been a tiny flying saucer, if not perhaps a drone with some kind of propulsion system on an aircraft that was in the shape of a sphere. Blinking UFO. In a quiet Seattle neighborhood, residents noticed a strange disc-shaped object hovering silently above the houses on June 18th earlier this year. Its surface glowed with shifting blue and purple lights, while faint beams drifted downward, briefly illuminating rooftops and treetops. The craft stayed motionless for nearly 2 minutes before disappearing into the clouds without a sound. Those who later recalled the sighting treated it as an incidental moment, part of the region's long history of unusual aerial reports. Game interrupter. During an otherwise local outdoor game, spectators briefly noticed the sky above the stadium dimming as a large triangular shape drifted silently overhead. Soft lights along its edges blinked in a steady pattern, giving the impression of some kind of controlled signal. For a moment, everyone from players to fans seemed to pause as the object hovered, then quickly ascended and disappeared without a sound. The incident passed just as quickly as it appeared, and no official explanation was offered afterward. Those who saw the footage were left to interpret it on their own, wondering whether it was an advanced but undisclosed craft or something entirely unfamiliar observing the scene. Close UFO encounter. A driver was passing through the state lines of South Carolina in July 2025 when his path crossed with a UFO. The incident was recorded mostly by a dashcam on a dark country road, where a brightly illuminated UFO appeared going in the opposite direction as it flew directly over the driver. This flying saucer looked like it was using the road to either keep or look for activity, if not for navigation purposes. Aerial gathering. People near Melissa City reported seeing 6 strange aerial objects moving together in an unusual formation on December 8th, 2022. The objects shifted position with sharp, deliberate movements that didn't match any familiar flight pattern, suggesting a level of control beyond ordinary aircraft. Observers watched from a distance, unsettled by the synchronized behavior and unsure of what they were witnessing. The coordinated motion of the group sparked speculation about its origin, leaving many to wonder whether the event hinted at some kind of organized activity far outside the bounds of normal aviation. Luminous wanderers. On a quiet hillside, a small group of onlookers happened to notice several glowing, hooded shapes moving slowly through the fog. Their motions were steady and almost ritual-like, with a faint light outlining what looked like worn, flowing garments. Some people quietly suggested they might be spirits, while others guessed they could be energy-based forms passing briefly into view. Technical explanations were offered, including the idea of drone reflections, but attempts to reproduce the same pulsing glow failed, and none accounted for the temporary electronics glitches recorded at the scene. More recent speculation has focused on plasma-like organisms that might respond to shifts in electromagnetic fields, hinting that whatever was seen could have been a transient, living phenomenon, rather than anything supernatural. Unknown drone craft. This is the drone that shut down the Copenhagen airport, which was spotted and shared by a staff member back on September 23rd, 2025. It showed a drone craft that was flying over the runway area. Despite the lights and small noise signature, they are not able to make it if this drone was manually controlled by a human pilot or had extraterrestrial origins. In response to this sudden sighting, the air traffic controller was forced to reroute incoming aircraft to another airport, while this one was shut down for several hours until the unknown drone craft eventually disappeared. Lightning reveal. At the time of a severe lightning effect in Chicago's River North area, a bystander unintentionally recorded something unusual. With every burst of lightning, the sky brightened just long enough to reveal a pyramid-shaped object suspended in the air, visible only for those brief flashes. Between strikes, the sky appeared empty, as if the object didn't exist at all. The effect made it seem like whatever was there was normally hidden, appearing only when the storm's light exposed it. The brief glimpses turned the moment into an odd, incidental encounter that left observers wondering what was really hovering above them, unseen in the dark. Splitting lights. Late one night in Florida, several residents happened to notice a large glowing object suspended high in the sky. At first, it resembled a typical aerial sighting, but the light soon released narrow streams of what looked like plasma. Before reaching the ground, each stream changed shape and separated into smaller craft that dispersed quickly in different directions, as if surveying the area. The main object disappeared without warning, leaving only the brief, scattered movements of the smaller ones behind.
Look how beautiful it is out there.
Wow.
Where those smaller lights went afterward remained unclear, turning the moment into an odd, passing event that left observers with more questions than answers. Glowing microsphere. A student from the University of Texas at Austin noticed this very weird glowing sphere that appeared and was flying all around. Initially, it was mistaken to be falling leaves from the tree until its manner of movements made it quite evident. According to the student, these spheres were basketball-sized UAPs that appeared out of nowhere and were said to be able to even pass through a concrete wall and other matter. Pennsylvania orbs. In 2022, a resident in Pittsburgh happened to notice a series of glowing orbs drifting quietly over the city late at night. They appeared one after another, bright enough to illuminate parts of the skyline, and their slow, steady movement made them resemble unfamiliar craft gathering in the air. By the time daylight arrived, however, the sky was completely clear again. The orbs had disappeared without leaving any sound or evidence behind, turning the moment into a brief, unexplained incident that no one has been able to clarify since. Secret facility backyard? An old grainy clip said to originate from rural Kansas circulated online with the look and feel of a lost 90s recording. It showed what appeared to be researchers scrambling through a dimly lit facility, the whole scene set against wide, empty fields outside. In the distance, brief bursts of light flickered, giving the impression that something had struck the site. The footage offered no clear context, and no official source ever verified when or where it was filmed. Whatever its origin, it seemed to surface by accident, as if it had been buried or erased long before anyone was meant to see it. Hovering UFO. Footage surfaced of a strange object hovering in the sky near a building just after sunset on August 30th, 2023. Instead of moving quickly like many reported UFOs, this one drifted downward in a slow, controlled glide, almost appearing to examine the area. Its steady descent puzzled viewers, especially since such objects are often linked with sudden, high-speed motion. Some wondered whether it was lowering itself intentionally or reacting to something on the ground. As unusual sightings become more common, the clip added to growing speculation about what these craft might be. Many believe that encounters like this could soon become normal, bringing us closer to real explanations. Flashing sky. Passing through the countryside of Oregon in the pitch darkness of the night, a strange activity started to occur in the skies above. A bizarre phenomenon involving the sky flashing was recorded on November 24th, 2024, by one of the passengers. It remained limited to just one particular part of the sky. The skies being cloudy made it impossible to look at what it could be. In the manner of how it is flashing, looks more like a flashing light of a craft than a natural phenomenon. Weird crop field incident. CCTV cameras on a secluded farm near Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, captured a strange, unexplained event in the middle of wide crop fields. On August 11th, 2025, the footage shows the quiet landscape that had glowy orbs flickering with light before a perfectly shaped circular pattern appeared on the ground, with no people, vehicles, or machinery anywhere nearby. The formation materializes instantly, as if triggered by a brief disturbance rather than any manual intervention. Even the farm's AI-based motion system detected no movement at all. The sudden appearance left the owners puzzled, and the local community unsure of what could have caused it. Divine angelic intervention. While passing through the Arizona desert, a local stopped in the middle of the road when something very bizarre happened on October 31st, 2024. A bright whitish signature, which was in the shape of an angelic figure that suddenly appeared. It looked like it was hovering by flashing its wings, just as if it were an actual divine intervention that was occurring in real time. Seconds later, it disappeared after leaving a very bright yellowish light signature that was momentarily blinded by a stander. Mysterious smoke trail. An unusual event was observed in the skies over Phoenix, Arizona on December 23, 2017. After sunset, a bright streak of light appeared, created by an object moving high above the city and leaving a glowing trail of smoke behind it. The strange occurrence intensified when a fragment separated from the main object, hovering in the sky while blinking and glowing simultaneously.
What is that?
Within a few minutes, both the fragment and the original light trail vanished, leaving witnesses puzzled. The brief, unexpected display stood out as a mysterious aerial phenomenon, unlike anything ordinary residents were accustomed to seeing in the evening sky. Black mass. In one unsettling recording, a group of birds was seen circling tightly above a dark, shifting mass suspended in the air. The shape seemed to expand and contract, giving the impression of something breathing. At times, the birds moved as if pulled toward it, only to scatter suddenly as though startled. Those who watched the footage couldn't determine whether the object was a living organism or simply an unusual atmospheric disturbance. Its outline never stayed consistent, resembling a drifting shadow with its own purpose. Because birds often react to forces people can't detect, some felt they were sensing something unfamiliar. The clip ends abruptly, offering no clues about what the strange presence truly was. Black swarm. In one town, people happened to notice something unusual in the sky during the day. Hundreds of small black shapes were scattered high above, hanging in the air without moving at all. They looked about the size of birds, but their stillness and the way they stayed in place made them seem strange. A few of the shapes gave off faint, blinking lights that seemed to follow a quiet pattern. Local officials later said the objects were likely drones drifting in the wind, but the steady formation did not match how drones normally behave. Those who saw the scene said it felt accidental, yet unsettling, as if something unknown was quietly observing them from above. Mysterious object. On September 20th, 2025, residents in Toronto happened to notice an unusual object drifting across the sky. It was a dark, slow-moving shape with a faint metallic glow, unlike any familiar aircraft. A few observers compared its outline to an old chariot gliding through the clouds. The object paused briefly before accelerating away, accompanied by a smaller form that followed close behind. The sighting was short and offered no clear explanation, leaving those who saw it to simply note it as an odd, passing moment that didn't resemble any conventional plane or known technology. Weird rain. Back on July 5th, 2025, residents from various cities across the state of Texas reported having blue rain. From the rural spots to the urban areas, a pool of this weird blue water was visible all around. The incident didn't get as much mainstream attention to get a definitive answer or explanation, which resulted in widespread speculations.
How much would it take for you to drink that water? I'm a lake right here.
In one of the Texas cities, there was a report of even rainwater having turned into thick jelly soon after reaching the ground.
I walked outside and I thought there was ice. It's a jelly.
Glowing silhouette. Workers somewhere in the Russian city of Petrozavodsk noticed a bizarre activity that took place. Just as they were taking a lunch break in a nearby incident, they noticed a glowing human-like silhouette that appeared in a storage location where they were offloading goods. It seemed to be moving back and forth all over the place, and it looked quite like a ghost, or a spirit of some kind, rather than it being some casual thief or a snatcher. Open discussion. This picture and video were taken on October 26, 2023, by a source from Helena, Montana. He claimed to have come across a very strange sight, where, in the shape of an orb, a large and bright signature of light appeared right outside the garage of his remote home. Being caught up in an unbelievable moment, he decided to film it on his camera in the showroom and perhaps get some answers. There are speculations of this being something like the attempted opening of the gateway of another dimension. However, details remain skeptical, so we leave this one open to discussion. Feel free to share your opinion down in the comments. The video has definitely reached its end. I will see you again with another WOW video. Until then, you can check out these other videos for a WOW dose of entertainment and knowledge.